I'm Jenna.
I'm Erin.
And welcome to Between Two Filing Cabinets, where we bring you tips, trends, troubles, and stories from the lighter side of HR. We work with so many different companies, and Erin, one of the things that our team has a lot of calls and emails about has to do with employees who are not communicating well, struggling with performance, just overall not getting along, and it's having a negative impact on the performance of the team and just the environment overall. And I know you just got back from Boston where you worked with Predictive Index and kind of exploring some of these issues and how PI can help overcome some of these.
That's true. Actually, it was pretty mind-blowing just how much PI can help in these situations. I mean, do a lot of classes on leadership and coaching and teamwork dynamics, and one of the most common things that I see are assumptions that we make. We don't think the best of the other person, or we're making negative stories. We're creating narratives in our head that don't really paint the other person in a very pleasant light, let's just say. And so, for example, one that came up recently is a team of people, and one of them was driving the other three crazy on this team because she was always saying, no, this won't work, this isn't going to work with our rules, this isn't going to work with our procedure, and they were just about to pull out their hair because of her, because it just seemed like she was being a stickler for the rules, and that's actually kind of how they were portraying her. And it was interesting because when they actually took their PI assessments and we ran some team analytics on them, their minds were blown just by what was really going on. So instead of this negative assumption, it turns out all of them have a low formality drive, except for this one person.
So what does that mean, they have a low formality drive?
Great question. It's basically that someone with a high formality drive is somebody who is going to really thrive with a lot of formality and structure, right? That's where they get their confidence, is kind of doing things the right way, doing things by the book. So her drives, her needs were directing that behavior.
Okay.
And so it was just interesting because when they saw that, all of a sudden it wasn't like, oh, she's just being a stickler. It's, oh, she has a need to conform to the structure.
Right.
She has a natural aversion towards risk. She's trying to protect us.
Right.
She's trying to protect the organization. And when they were able to see that assumption they were making was incorrect, and that really she had the best interests of the team and the organization at heart, they were able to see her in a new light. And then similarly, she had been kind of feeling like, gosh, these guys are cavalier with the rules. They don't really care about risk. They throw caution to the wind. And in seeing how their drives operated, and seeing that they were just more risk tolerant, they saw risk as opportunities, they were able to see, oh, actually we can kind of leverage each other's perspectives on this, and kind of complements each other really, really well. And so it took all of the negative narratives out of the equation, all of the negative assumptions, the labeling out, and people were able to kind of see each other in a new light.
Yeah. And PI, it gives them then tools to be able to sort of not only just understand those differences and how they can complement each other, but also overcome some of the challenges that it may bring. So if she's out there, feeling like she's on an island because the whole rest of the team, is kind of like, okay, rules are just guidelines. Then PI also gives them tools to help manage that, right?
I love that, yeah, because a lot of other assessments leave you with that now what feeling. It's like, great, we know that, now what? How can we, make use of this? And so it is good for overcoming that kind of negative narrative. But yeah, there are tools to kind of help that team work together. So there's like a peer scorecard that they can now use to kind of talk about, okay, how are we interacting with this person? Are we kind of hitting the high notes with them? Are we giving them what they need? So specific suggestions on how to better communicate with that person.
Right. And I like that it's up and down. It's at all levels. So it gives you the tools to help with your manager, with your peers, with people that you are supervising. So yeah, that's pretty impressive because you don't find that with a lot of assessment tools.
No, and it's so helpful because again, it's like we're making these assumptions. So and so is unfriendly, or so and so is making trouble at meetings because they're constantly trying to run the show. It's like, well, if you can look at it instead of a natural drive, right? Like, oh, this person just has a need, a passion for putting their thumbprint on things,
right.
or this person really needs to have time and opportunities to reflect before they share what their opinions are. It just changes the landscape and makes it a lot friendlier, takes a lot of those negative feelings away, and you can kind of talk about differences without it becoming such a source of conflict.
Nice.
Yeah.
Erin, I have a funny story to tell you. Yesterday you sent me a job assessment to complete for a position that we are going to be hiring for at Cascade. So part of that process is getting a team together, doing an assessment for that job specifically of what do we think the job requires, what skills are required, and sort of what strengths are required and drives are required for that, and then it creates a job profile, and then we can get together and then use that to compare for applicants. And so I did it yesterday, and then I woke up in the middle of the night because I was dreaming about these assessments and all of the analytics and trying to figure it out. And I was like, I have to share that with Erin because it was so funny, because these things, it shows me that we're always thinking of these things, but obviously I think it's a pretty cool tool as well.
It's funny that you should say that too, because shortly after this episode, I'm going to be going and meeting with a team to review a job pattern that they've all put together.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's nice because there's actually some real alignment there.
Good. Yeah. Exciting. Well, we're going to file this one under conflict and teamwork, and we will see you on the next episode.
Oh, and we have a bonus this
right.
week. While I was back there, so we were working on some trainings. I was working with their master trainer, Dottie Lamarck.
Right.
And we have a short video kind of bonus for you this week, or kind of best practices on training. Since a lot of people or members are internal trainers or trying to kind of hone their training chops, so some great pointers in there. Definitely check it out.
Great. I look forward to that one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.